Hello?
What's up, my dudes, and welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new. My name is Elijah, you can call me Lay, and honestly, we got some news. You can probably tell from the title, so I'm just gonna say it flat out right now. I got into the cosmetic and fragrance program at my school, the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I could not be more excited. Because I've said it for months that I've been kind of like feeling in kind of like this trench, this kind of runt. Yeah, that's the word, runt. And things in my life have been seemingly getting repetitive, and obviously that's a common feeling for anyone right now, because probably a lot of people hate the repetitiveness of their everyday lives because of, well, you know what I'm talking about, just 2020. And now here we are in 2021, hoping things will get better, because, you know, when everything started happening, it was like, yeah, this will probably be over in a few weeks. It wasn't over in a few weeks. So, but there are 3 things I want to make note of before starting the video. Is number 1, FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology, is a 2+2 school, which I'll get into what that means. Second thing is CFM is only a bachelor's program, which means you have to take something before even applying. You can't just go straight into the program. And the third thing is the program CFM is competitive in itself. I remember in CFM club, because there is a club for CFM, just an FYI, they had a guest speaker of an old student who was in the major, and the student said, like, when she was applying for it, they only let in 25 students, and they had to do an interview. From what I heard, they let 50 people in, and we don't need an interview. So it's a little more lenient, but it's still competitive. The first thing I want to cover is applying as a freshman, because I don't really know the experience. I do have a friend who took a gap year between her going to college and leaving high school. I just kind of went straight in, and you'll understand why in a second. But so applying to FIT as a freshman, so the college process, we need to just get that out of the way. FIT is, even regardless of it being in the city, its location in the middle of the city, it is a SUNY. It is very different. So when I applied, it was not on the Common App. But do I know if that changed? I have no clue. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But as far as when I applied, I had to do a separate state university application for it. And not that this really matters now, because I'm pretty sure I saw something like they're not doing SATs anymore. But in the first place, they didn't require SAT scores, so that didn't matter. And as for GPA, I don't really know what's the minimum to get in, because when I left high school, my GPA was a 3.7. I also took electives, but I wouldn't really consider myself, like, me in high school, as I'm talking about, as a well-rounded student, because I didn't really do much activities because I hated the environment. It was very toxic. But I did take electives that were mandatory for me. I can't remember if it was 8th or 9th grade. I just remember taking dance elective one year and doing drama elective different years. And I remember ending high school in 11th and 12th grade doing journalism elective. And that's kind of key message of what's important here, because of what I applied to, because there's all different types of majors at FIT. So when you go and you apply to FIT, you have to apply to associates. That's what I meant when I said, like, it's a 2+2 school. So 2+2 just means you have to do the first 2 years and then you can continue. Being an AMC, it is a very general major, but I also feel like that's a good place to start. Because honestly, like, after I learned about, like, the other majors, it would be so much harder to get into CFM from the other majors, because from what I know, most people who do apply usually apply from being in, I think, AMC or FBM, but I could be wrong, and more people probably did apply from other business majors. But I honestly do think AMC is the best program to start with if you do want to get into CFM, because CFM, even though they do have labs and stuff like that and product development things, the M still stands for marketing. And in the AMC major, you also learn about marketing, so it gives you like a lot of context, and I would say best prepares you for the classes from what I learned and from what I know. So what's it like being an AMC major? You got your advertising classes, your marketing classes, your communications classes, and this is all good for context because you're gonna find out what you like and what you dislike real fast. And that's the thing, because when I went in, I did not even know CFM as a bachelor's. I just thought, hey, I might just do AMC for like 2 years and then reapply again and do the other 2 years, because you do have to reapply. When you go to FIT, one of the first things they'll tell you is to don't worry so much about getting A's, and B is a good grade for many professors and many people and many teachers, because they said you should mainly worry about networking and getting to know your professors, getting to know the student body around you, because those people can either be the people you're working with, and having them as connections can be really good for you. And I think that's just something in general as business majors we learn, because I just think of business being one of the most beneficial and safest things you can go into, but that's just my opinion. I'm thinking about doing a college series, so like if I should talk about that, just let me know. But anyways, this is like key because of, you know, if you're going into CFM, one thing I will say is every other video when I was trying to figure out like how do I get in, they always said like it was based on grades, which is, they said it was based on grades and how quickly you apply. So that's just a thing. So I'm just gonna skip right on ahead into the graduation process. To graduate, I'm gonna say graduate from FIT is fairly easy because you do the 2 years, and by your third, in your, I guess, third semester, because we applied in the fall, you basically have to meet all your requirements, right? And be like signed up for everything, because you have to basically apply for CFM right after you apply for classes in your 4th semester, because then you need to have like all your degree requirements. It needs to say like all of them are done or in progress, and that's what your JARS, which is like the thing of like what you need to do, says. By applying, it would say like everything is done or in progress, and once you do that, you can apply for graduation, which is on the same My FIT portal. And from there, you apply for graduation, and then once you apply for graduation, you then apply to continue on if that's what you want to do. So I forgot what exactly it said, if I'm being honest, but advisors will explain it to you. And you have to just go and put in your information. It's actually really easy to go from being in your associate's to your bachelor's, because all you need to do is just put in your information again, like where you live, like, you know, the basic stuff when you're doing an application, and you just basically click on what do you want to apply for, you know, and you'll get the email of whether, like, when you get it, like, after you finish applying, it's gonna be weird for a while, because I remember reading it and all of us were like, why does it say that? Like, it kept saying like not applicable, like something. It said something, but you just don't worry about it. As long as it's there and you put everything in, you're good. You just, from that point, you wait. And how long we wait? We applied for it. Okay, so in November is when you apply for classes, and you'll get into the habit of this most stressful time when you're applying for classes. But once everything is filled in and you are, that stuff, the process I just told you, once you do that, you just wait and wait. So we waited from November to now January. I can't really tell you what specifically got me into CFM, but I can tell you what I did during my AMC journey, which was, number one, I aimed above B's. I wanted high grades, but that's just something that was engraved in me from my high school. But they always say like people who has at least a 3.5 gets in, but there is still a chance, because from what my friend told me, she said like she heard some people get in with below a 3.5. It just, depends on a lot of things, I guess. And that's one thing I did. I always aim high and always do the best to my abilities. On top of that, I also took a minor. I started my minor from, I would say, when did I start my minor? I started my minor the third semester, but I did want it to start in the second semester. However, when I tried to do that, the class got full and I couldn't get into anything. Because that's the thing about, the worst part about doing anything in FIT is definitely your registration times, because then you want to choose good teachers, and you also want to choose teachers who hopefully have times that work for your schedule, because I'll probably talk about all this. Just let me know. Scheduling, which is going to be the most stressful thing about FIT, one of the most. I researched the teachers, like rate my professor, like before selecting a teacher, and honestly, I took mainly morning classes. And one mistake I did make in my first semester is taking all classes like as a in person. I feel like now most people are not going to be afraid to do, what's the word? So there's a difference between remote learning and online classes, because remote learning is more like classes that have a scheduled time, you talk to professor, whatever. But online classes at my school are classes that you don't really engage with the professor. They kind of just give you work. And if you need them, email them, whatever, but you basically do everything on your own time. And personally, I can handle that. If you want a balanced schedule, I would not be afraid to take online classes. But classes that you feel like you need that engagement with, if it's a subject you're not the strongest in and you need that teacher engagement, I would take that as a class where you engage with a teacher versus like as a OL. But if you know the subject well enough, like I personally think taking Gen Eds as an online course is the best thing you can do, because one of the first classes I did take as an OL was my African American literature class, and honestly I wish I took more of like macro and stuff as an OL, but not every class has an online acceptable, so just choose wisely, you know? That being said, that really balanced out my schedule is doing the research and selectively choosing classes based off of other people's experiences with them. And that really helped me with balancing school, my GPA, and that's how I got a 3.66. I don't know, if you round it, if they just rounded it to the other decimal point, it would technically be a 3.7, but it says 3.66, so I'm just reading. And hopefully by time I am ready to graduate, my GPA boost, or I'm gonna be kind of sad because I like having an overall of a 3.7, but that's a different story. I'm very much an A-type. Those like little things I did, I think added up to why I got it in. So the first semester I took 6 classes, second semester I also took 6 classes. The third and now fourth semester I'm taking 7 classes because I had room for my minor. If you wanna look into minors, I would just do it. And if it's like a little arts minor, it's so much easier to start with. AMC is a really great major, but at least for me, it was really too general. It was getting repetitive for me. And after taking certain classes, I know what I liked and what I didn't like. So I know I said I came there for like being a fashion journalist, but I had a journalism teacher that made me like turn away. A lot of us that did come for journalism ends up not pursuing it. There were certain classes I loved. I loved like classes that I got to design things, like, and that's why I chose the minor I did in design thinking. Just an FYI, if you want something fun and creative, I recommend. I also liked my mass comm class. I fell in love with my marketing class, even if I didn't get the best grade the first time learning about it, because if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know marketing was a career until I kind of got there. And I ended up loving it. And now I want to be a cosmetics marketer, specifically for beauty brands, cosmetic brands, and everything. And yes, I can learn how to be a marketer in AMC, but if you go on to like the pages of possible careers, so I have to read off my phone for this. So for advertising and marketing communication, it says copywriter, public relations director, event planner, marketer, and journalist, right? Cool. But for possible careers out of cosmetic and fragrance marketing, you can become a marketing manager, product developer, brand manager, or a fragrance evaluator. And the cool thing about CFM is there will be lab classes. When you learn something and it's mixed in like with things you already had interest in, it's kind of just a different motivation because then it just makes sense to you. So like doing chemistry and talking about like, I don't know, like atoms and like different things within it, minerals, or talking about like the theories people made, like that stuff, it's hard for me to get into it. But if you put makeup to it, food to it, it makes it so much clearer, you know? So there's that. Also, I specifically do want to be a marketer for a cosmetic brand, so I feel like knowing how to develop the products and knowing how to do certain things, that would just give me such a huge advancement of what I'm going for in life, as of right now anyways. Also, eventually I would want to do my own thing and possibly make my own brand. Like, it's just something that I have a list of things in my head and in my journal that I do want to do and do want to make out of my life. So I just figure like this is the best way for me to do it. And the last reason is, one thing that's cool about CFM is at the end of your senior year, you have to do a required internship. Like, that may sound like, ugh, internship, you know what I mean? But like most people, when they graduate from college, they say like, oh, they end up not doing anything related to their degree, right? And when people say that, I kind of start questioning, like, if they did an internship, but that was like anywhere relevant, did they make connections? Did they ask professors for recommendations? Like, I question everything they did. So just an FYI, like, that's the thing with college, because I feel like it is what you make of it. And I feel like being pushed that way to do an internship can be really, really good, because if you do a good job, maybe they'll hire you. Maybe something good can come out of it. Who knows? But with AMC, it's not a requirement to graduate. So I feel like the ambition to do an internship wouldn't be as there for me. But with CFM, I would feel a lot more motivated to go out there and look for things. And I also feel like they'll develop my skills a lot better, because AMC has done that in its own way. It helped me discover different things about myself, but I do feel like doing the same things. And when I looked at like what I would have to do for the other 2 years, some things sounded interesting, other things kind of gave me a headache, because I knew what I liked and I knew what I disliked already by this point on. Because, you know, like, have you ever took a class and you're like, I never want to do this again? Because I do feel like it could be repetitive, which could be good because then it instills things in your head, but there's no excitement in it for me. I hope that made things clear, because I don't even know where I went with this. I know I'm kind of all over the place because my thoughts are still like processing. Yesterday was crazy. Like, I got in, Halsey is pregnant. Like, yesterday was, anyways, so I'm just gonna stop the video right here, hopefully edit it and hopefully post it by tonight, but I doubt it. I'm not gonna doubt it. I'm gonna say, like, I don't know how possible it is, but if I do get it up, you know how many times I tried to do this video, and I tried my best with this video, so until next time, which will probably be Sunday, and hopefully I have a good video up by then, which will probably just be like me starting school, because clearly I started school again. So yeah, bye, peace out my dudes, and see you next time.